Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a while since I've recorded anything. Pretty much last time I recorded was at Champs. So it's been a bit. So like I mentioned a while back, either on Instagram or somewhere, I don't remember, I had mentioned that I was going to be some beta testing for the HDZ goggles. Well, what do you know? I got them here. I'm really excited to have these in my hands right now. I tried them out a little bit today. I love the user interface and I'm super excited about how these are performing. So what I used to use are my HDO2s. I used these for the longest time with the Shark Bite, actually VRX that would be mounted on the front. Used those for the longest time, and then I had a lot of issues with the HDO2 board, or the HDMI board, cutting out on me, dying out on me, and it wouldn't work, which was really frustrating at the time because I would have to email Fat Shark. They'd send me 2 HDMI boards because I had to burn out on me twice, which was really annoying. The first time it happened to me was at the Tiny Trainer Series last winter. So it really sucks. So I was really excited to fly AC0 inside a skate park. It would have looked really awesome, but unfortunately the HDMI board died out on me. So I'm really excited that I don't have to deal with that anymore. Having a cable come out from under here. I had to use a different cable as well because that cable died on me. So I'm really excited to have these goggles in my hands today. These things are a work of art. I absolutely love them. Don't have too many things to complain about. There are a few things that I will suggest or put in the videos you'll hear. But yeah, I'm absolutely happy with these goggles. They are absolutely wonderful. It's great just to have one goggle here, not to have a VRX hanging out in front. But yeah, these look absolutely stunning. These feel absolutely great. These feel solid, especially even for a beta production. These things feel really good. I love the strap. Everything feels great, feels good on my face. We'll go over that more with the foam. They are a little bit wider than the HDO2, so you'll see here how wide these guys are versus the HDO2s. These are a little bit narrower, a little slimmer profile, but it is what it is. I'm really happy with these how these turned out, and I'm super excited to have the chance to work on these. Congrats to Carl for all your hard work and everyone else on the HD0 team putting in the hard work, working so many hours putting these things together. So let's put these on the bench, take a look at these guys a little bit closer. Alright guys, so these are goggles here on the bench. So I already have my antennas in here and we can go ahead and start with that. As far as for me, I'm a racer primarily using these goggles, and so I've just been putting my stubbies on here, and I do highly recommend stubbies if you have them, especially for the side profile SMA connectors. One, they're just a lot easier to screw in, because if you have your traditional long antennas, I don't have any right now on the bench, or better yet, here, let's try this patch. Like I was trying this earlier today, if you're trying to put on this patch right here, it's going to be a little bit difficult hand tightening this, or if you have a tool, it's going to be a little tricky getting that cinched all the way down. It's just a pain. So if you do have patches, I do recommend getting the ones that Ryan Quillette had posted on his channel with the front brakes or the front brackets that you can 3D print. But for right now, for me, especially when I'm racing, I'm just going to have these stubbies on here on the front and not even worry about it, because I'm easily able to screw these in nice and tight, and I don't have to worry about having to use a tool of some sort in order to do that. And then just on top, it's going to be the same thing. But of course, if you're going out for long range, I recommend getting a longer antenna. That way you're not dealing with going behind your head and having that video interference. But yeah, that's one thing I recommend to start out with, is get, for me, is stubby antennas if you have them. They're just also more compact. You don't have to deal with taking these things on and off. But obviously, it depends on your flying situation, your flying environment, where you're at. So if you need to change those, by all means, go ahead and do that. But for me, this is probably what I'm going to be running for the most part. I do have a mix of left and right hand antenna just because I was testing out different quads and I don't have to deal with putting them all in the same polarization. So that's why they are like that. Also, let's go ahead and move to the next thing. You're probably wondering why the faceplate is off, because I was testing having the different faceplates here. So first, the one that you have an arrow faced one. As you can tell, that's pretty abrupt. Kind of hard to tell, but when you compare it to the other one, so this is the narrow one. Then you have the wider. Let's put that in front of each other. But you might be able to tell, you might not. But there's a little bit of a difference as far as the width of these guys. So first I was scared to take these off because even with the HD02s, I was always nervous on how taking these off. For the method that works for me, I'll go ahead and tell you guys how I did it. You have, it's going to be really hard to tell. So you have one little tiny plastic wall here and one little lip here. Then you have 3 on top. 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of hard to tell on the white, but they're there. And then here on the faceplate, you have those 5 corresponding holes. So all you have to do, it's not simple, it's kind of scary because, you know, brand new goggles, you don't want to break them, and I'm not going to put these back on. But for me, the method, I started with the bottom 2. I would simply kind of hold here with my thumb and pull up here on the faceplate, kind of get that little lip over it, and then just pull it out. And then it kind of just nice and easily pulled right off. And then it kind of, the top one kind of came off as well after you get that one, and just worked my way from left to right. And then, yeah, scary at first because, of course, you don't want to break the new plastic. But for me, the narrow faceplate was working all right, but I noticed after maybe 10-15 minutes of wearing it and putting it back on and off again, I noticed that the sides right here were kind of wearing on my temples, or to the sides of my eyes, and it wasn't uncomfortable. I mean, if I had to, I could fly with these all day with the narrow faceplate on. So I decided to get crazy and take this plate off. Thankfully, it was a success, and these plastic lips are pretty strong. They're not going to break, but it's just always scary taking your faceplate off. So what I did is I tried the wider faceplate, and it was a little bit too wide for my face. I'm kind of in the middle here, so I'm going to show you what I did to mod these guys. But yeah, so when I tried the wide faceplate, it felt really good, but there was a little bit of light leakage coming from the side, so I was having an issue kind of with that. I was like, well, it's not really going to work out. So luckily, I was digging through some stuff, and I had for my HD02s the wedges that can help as well narrow your faceplate. So I shoved those in there, and I cut them out as well because, oh, that's another thing. The Velcro was sticking to the strap here, and it was kind of tearing it apart. I don't know if you can tell there, but there's a little bit of pulled fabric right there, and I just like things to be as clean as possible. So I snipped those, and then I put that on, and it felt fantastic. This is absolutely perfect. I'm right in the middle of the narrow faceplate and the wide faceplate, so luckily I still had these little wedges laying around. That's something I think would be very good for HD0 to include, because of course everyone's face is different. The wide and the faceplate, they're a good base, but as you see for me, I'm a little bit in between. So thankfully, I had those little wedges. I just had to cut them out to size to fit. That way they're not having extra Velcro and ruining my Velcro strap. Oh, that's another thing. As before, make sure that you change the faceplate first if you're going to, before you put the strap on, because the Velcro will stick to this guy and it will kind of pull your fabric. And it's not going to ruin it, but it just looks a little ugly if you want to keep these as pristine as possible. So that's another tip there. And another recommendation as well is to include maybe something a little bit more for these wedges. I did try the Newbie drone foam that came with the HD02s, or that I used. Sorry guys, I'm a little less organized right now. That I used for my HD02s, and they'll fit. So if you're out of foam, you can use Fat Shark foam or the Newbie drone foam. That's what I use primarily because I really liked it. Only thing is, as you can see, is that stupid SD card slot is no longer here on the HD0 goggles. Hallelujah. We'll get to more of that in a sec on the whole layout of the goggles and what I like about it. But yeah, so the Newbie drone foam will fit. It's a little bit wider, but I mean, it'll make it work. For whatever reason, if you lose these or you ruin these pretty quickly, you'll be able to find hopefully some replacement foam, and hopefully some manufacturers or HD0 comes out with that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the foam itself. It is the same thickness as your Newbie drone foam, the one that comes with the goggles. My only concern is the narrow, the very narrow foam right here on the nodes. That's something that happened to me a lot with my HD02s. You can see here the fabric starts to pull, the glue starts to pull off and especially kind of right here in the narrow. This is where it started right here, and it just kind of worked its way around. Of course, that's not something that you can always control because this is where it's rubbing down the most when I'm taking it off my head. This is the part that gets the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Wear and tear. So I would like to see, as you can see, how thick the nose foam here is on the newbie drone versus the HD0 goggles, the HD0 foam. I would like to see a little bit thicker foam here for your nose. That way, one, you're not going to have issues. Well, there's more surface area for the foam to stick to glue. So that way, as you can see, it's kind of already kind of pulling off. It's not really sticking to that Velcro really well. It's already kind of coming, not sticking in there. So that's one concern. I mean, this is only after maybe 30 minutes of use, and that Velcro is kind of already not working out too well. There's just less contact or less surface area for the Velcro. So that is something I would like to see done a bit more, was this thicker foam, or wider foam, let's say, around the face. That way you don't run into issues like that where it's not really doing its job. But that's one little thing I would recommend. Next thing we can move into is the strap itself. I absolutely love this strap. It is super thick. So this is my 533 strap. Support your friends, everyone. But I always do what I can to support all my friends who own businesses. So this is my 533 strap. As you can see, the HD0 strap is considerably a little bit wider. Let's grab these calipers if you guys want to be precise, because you know how you guys are with your measurements. So let's just go with inches. This is going to be, yeah, about 4.4 inches. So, or if you guys want to get more, let's not do that. About 10 millimeters wider. So yeah, it's a little bit wider of a strap. It's just fabric. It's not like the 533 that does have this sticky strip in the middle, which I really do like. That helps keep it on your head. For me, I wear hats, so that really helps keeping the goggles on. So super wide. It does have the battery slot here if you're into that. I use the cables. I like having symmetry when I wear my goggles. I do not like having uneven weight distribution on my head. So that's why I use the strap or the battery cable at all times. But what I do really, really appreciate is the buttons here. No more do you have to fish those stinking goggles into that little slit on those shark bite, or the fat shark goggles. Nice and easy to clip on, and they go on pretty easily. There's a good sturdy button. Feels really solid when you get it on there, and that's not really going anywhere. So let's clip this faceplate back on while we're here. Where'd it go? Lost it. Slide this on. Or actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk about the bottom to show you something else that I really, really appreciate about these goggles. So the bottom here, you have the IPD adjustment. So out and in, and also your diopters here. For me, I might have messed with these a little bit. After having LASIK, I practically have perfect vision, so I don't have to worry about that adjustment too much. Mine, I go as wide as it can go, and it works for me perfect. Something that I do really like as well, as you're adjusting the diopters, as you look here, you'll see as I twist, they're in the goggles. They do not move around, whereas the HD02s, for instance, you might not be able to see it. As you adjust your focal length, or whatever that is, you see it moves in and out. So that was always a big issue for me, because for me, I always have a greasy forehead, always get my lenses dirty pretty quickly, even if I am wearing a hat. So it's kind of annoying when you're trying to clean off the lenses, you push it down, it gets everything out of focus. But for the HD0 goggles, big plus here, absolutely one of my favorite things about these goggles is that the diopters inside do not move. I try even looking, you can't even really see. But yeah, there's nothing to worry about that as far as adjusting your focus. So that's a pretty good distance right there it's covering, but don't know the exact distance, and I don't feel like taking my caliper back out, even though it's just right there. So that's one thing there. So you do have HDMI in, HDMI out. I did use the HDMI out to get to my monitor, and we'll show you that as far as recording the screen, because I don't think that the menu is recorded while you have your goggles turned on. SD card slot here, as I mentioned before, it is no longer up here in the stupid forehead area where it is impossible to get out. Simple enough, right there, push it in, push it out. I use this, I don't even know what this is. Lexar 1000X 32 gigabyte. I did try some 64 gigabytes that I bought for my GoPro. They're a little bit fancy, could handle 4K a lot better. But for some reason, maybe it's because it was 64 gigabytes, it just was not reading the SD card. So that might be a thing. I haven't really tested it out. So I don't know if there's a maximum SD card memory that these goggles will not take. But that's that. So you do have other inputs here. AB, out, or in. Don't really know. Your firmware slot, head tracking, and your microphone. So I did ask Quad Doc a while ago what microphone he recommended. This is the Roya, I think. No, Boya. Sorry, this is also what Ryan Quillette recommended in his video as well. I'll link that down below as far as equipment that he recommended. But simple enough, plug that in there, and then that's able to adjust. And we'll do some more testing with that in the next few days, probably during Christmas while I'm visiting in-laws, testing the microphone. I did test the onboard mic in the goggles to see how that works. I'll review that. I haven't even listened to that DVR yet. I just got busy today, it being my brother's birthday. So I was a little bit preoccupied. That's that. I do love the layout. Everything looks good. This is this dark green. I don't even know if that's a camo, but it's not black. I don't know if it's going to be different than the production that you all ordered. Maybe if it's all black, that's cool too, but I really do like that it's actually green, a little bit different color there. The next we can talk about, move to the left side, is going to be your module bay. So simply pop that out. Oops, lost that. And you have this little slot here. And, oh goodness gracious, I am a mess today. This is where that adapter is going to plug in. Nice and simple. It does come with a screw, so if you wanted to screw that in a little bit tighter, but I mean, it sits in there pretty good. That sucker's not coming out. So if you want that screw for added security or peace of mind, you can do that. I mean, for me, I'm not going to keep it in there. I'm just going to keep my HCO2s with the module, or the, I can't even remember what that's called. Anyway, I'm going to keep that in my HCO2, so if you feel like I want to fly analog, I'll just whip those goggles out. That way I don't have to deal with that asymmetrical weight distribution that I was talking about earlier. So yeah, this simply just pulls out, and set that aside, and then put that cap back on top. And nice and easy. So that's that. Something else that I did notice while I was testing these goggles is even when you're flying, you're using the HD0, the VRX, your analog, if you have your analog module plugged into here still, it is still powered on. That might be something, a firmware update that can be done. I'll put up some footage here real quick that I took from my phone that I noticed. So that might be something that might be draining the battery, might be help overheating other things. But you do have 3 fans that do a great job. But that's something I probably would recommend. If you are already going through HD0 feed, then it would be nice if the goggles turned off the power going to the module here. But that's another reason I'm not running the adapter the whole time anytime I'm flying, just because I just want as little battery consumption as possible. And so that's one thing I also recommend. There are 3 fans, and one on top, this huge honking thing that does a great job, and then you have 2 on the side that are responsible for cooling the components inside, and then also providing airflow to your little eyeballs. You can see those little slots right there on either side of the bridge of the nose that blow air into the goggle space to help clear fog and things like that. There are settings that you can do. You can have it automatic, or do have an auto fan setting, and that's pretty awesome. So as you turn them on, they get going. They are quieter than my HD02 goggles, but mine has always been loud from the start. And there is, if you do have it manual fan, then there is an option. There is a a temperature sensor inside the goggle, so if it does notice the components are getting too hot and you're in manual, it does automatically turn on the fans, which is a very good thing. So if you're racing out in the sun, it's getting hot, the goggles automatically know, hey, this goggle's getting too hot, these components are getting hot, let's turn on the fans, cool them down, and they'll turn back off. That only occurs when the sensor notices the temperature is too hot. If you're flying outside and it's cold in the wintertime and you have a good breeze, those fans probably aren't going to turn on. They are a little loud when they're going full blast. You can set them from, I think, 0 to 5 different levels. So obviously 0 being off and then 5 being just blowing as hard as it can. But that's there. We can do a little sound test in a little bit as far as different sounds. Let's move on to the right side. So the right side is also a cool feature, and probably the best feature is going to be this power switch right here. So backwards is off, pushing it forwards is turning it back on. If we have the goggle cable, again, I have everything scattered. I did not organize this, but this is where you plug in the elbow here, turn that on, or it's off, turn that on. Something I wish that there's a little bit more of a spread here, because when you're trying to deal with this, it's a little bit kind of hard to get in between there. So maybe if it was moved over just a, I don't even know, 5 millimeters, 10 millimeters over to the right, or the button pushed back, that way there's a little bit more of a gap for your finger to get in to turn that on and off. That's just something, especially if you have bigger fingers. If you're a kid, you have smaller fingers, that might not be that big of a deal, but that's just another thing. The cable itself is pretty robust. Feels pretty thick. It feels like it's not going to have any issues as far as disconnecting, anything like that. The goggles themselves are able to take 2S to 6S. I did try, I don't know where that battery went. I do have a 2S battery here, just trying this out, because when I bought these, I thought these were great for my HDO2s, but unfortunately these would not power my HDO2s. It was kind of annoying. It wouldn't power the VRX and the goggles together. So thankfully, I tried these out. It worked great. 2200 milliamp hour. I don't know how long it will last. I didn't really do a stress test on it. But 2S works great. Pretty light battery. For me, I also use the Freedom Spec pack from 533, the 2200 3-cell, and I have a whole bunch of 4 cells from years and years ago, so I could also use that. So there's batteries everywhere. In the manual, it does recommend you do not use overcharged or high voltage charged 6 cells, because there is only a max rating for the voltage, and you obviously do not want to burn out your goggles. In the manual as well, I noticed that it only does 2 to 5S. So kind of wondering there which is which, whether if it goes up to 6S or it goes up to 5S. Me, I'm just going to stick to my 2-cell and 3-cell batteries and not even worry about it, because I have plenty of those. I'm not even going to take that chance of ruining my goggles. Let's slide these back on that we've talked about everything. QR code, don't know what that is. Maybe it's just your serial number. Let's pop those back in. 1, oh gosh, 2, 3, 4. You can see it's going right. A little difficult. Oh gosh, the last one's always the hardest. There we go. Holy cow, that sounded nasty. Okay, let's go ahead and plug these goggles in, and let's do a sound test. Turn that on, or plug that battery in. So that is on auto. You guys can hear that. So top fan, this is, well, I'm gonna get this close to the mic. That is 1 level, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. Not that bad, especially if you're outside. I'm indoors in a quiet room, so I can easily hear that. So let's turn that fan off. We're going to go to the side fans now. This is 0, obviously. That's 1, 2. So the side fans are a little bit louder, maybe because there's 2 of them. 3, 4, and 5. That's what 5 sounds like from the 2 side fans. Let's turn on the top fan. to full blast. And that is all 3 fans going at full blast. I can feel the air hitting my fingers, it's actually pretty strong. But that's how loud everything is going to sound. Not that big of a deal, especially if you're outdoors and it's not too noisy. And if you fly with music, it's even going to bother you less. So I'm just going to turn this back on to auto. So that is auto. It is going and just helping cool the components. Alright guys, so this is the Goggle menu. Let's go ahead and start from the top. So this is going to be your scanning menu, as you know, for your VRX. You're able to scan R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and F2 and F4. You can scan that. If you turn your goggles on, you can hit scan or scan ready. This is going to be your sources, so your AC0 shows you your channel. If it's on R8 or other sources, you can pick HDMI, AV-in, expansion model if that's connected or disconnected. So it's not plugged in, so it's not available. This keeps cutting in and out. Really annoying. I don't know why it does that. There we go. Sorry about that. This is your image settings. So this is where you're able to change. Come on, quit doing that. Your brightness, your saturation, contrast, OLED auto or off. I don't really know about the OLED screen. Maybe it's brightness or... But anyway, so when you click on this as well, when you click on it, it does pull you back. Let's show you that little load menu. If you have your drone plugged in, it's going to have... Let's see if it has it. There you go. It has your menu at the bottom. I don't know why this keeps cutting out. This is annoying. But yeah, it has that, and you're able to change your settings while you have your drone on, which is pretty cool. As you can see here, fan is over here. The components are overheating, so the fan's turned on. Also, you have your fans right here, your fan speed, a few other, I don't even know what that lock is, but we'll go over that later. Let's go back to the main menu. Your power, this is the power of the battery. You can see it's 2-cell. Voltage, you have your limit right there. I set mine down to 3.4. Voltage display, yes, you can have that as well. And then your warning types, whether visual or beeping. I have visual. I don't like the beeping. It's really annoying. I hate beeping. Fans, so this is where I'm talking about. You have your auto control on or off. Your top fans, how hot do you want them going? So all the way up to 5 or down to nothing. And same with the side fans. Next, you have your record options. I am very happy. So you auto and manual. Always keep mine on auto because it's always good to have DVR, especially if you lose a quad in the woods or in the brush. Good to know potentially where it might have landed. I'm glad the record format is now MP4. You know how long I have to do that stinking thing where you have to convert your video file from TS to MP4 or whatever video file you like using, your format. Record OSD, yes or no. I think these settings change. I always put it on no, but actually I think I did put it on yes. Record audio, yes or no. I always do yes. You can have your mic that's on the goggles or the line in if you're using a separate goggle or a separate microphone. Format your SD card. And again, this is pretty simple, just moving the wheel up and down and then clicking on the button. Auto scan on off, HC0, analog or HDMI in. Connections. Not really sure what this is going on. Didn't really spend too much time about that, but if you want to look at that, dive deeper into the manual, more than welcome to do that. Next we have here is head tracker. I don't use head tracker, most people don't, especially only pretty much you're going to be flying a plane. Playback here as well, so this is, you can able to review your DVR. So if you're going to scrub, this is from earlier today. You can see, let's see, when you scrub through, it goes in 5-second increments. So it goes really fast. This is almost a 3-minute video, and you can go all the way to the back very quickly. Whereas the Fat Shark DVR system, you would have to hit 2 times speed, 4 times speed, 8 times speed, and it was always very lagged. But that's playback there real quick, easy to find some things. As you can see, my video was not that great. I had an issue with my VTX and the antenna, but anyway. So hit the center button to pause or play, hold it to go back, and then you can scrub through all that. One thing to take note of, if you turn your goggles off, like here on this number 3 here, if you turn your goggles off while you are recording, it is a bad file. It will not work. So you will lose that file. So make sure you always hit your record, you stop recording when you power it off. Hopefully that's something they can fix in the future. That is a recommendation I would like to see, is that your goggles continue to record even if you turn them off. Just like power plays. If I always turned off my power plays, I would still have my video saved. This is your about. Oh, sorry, let's go back. Hold the center button to go back for that playback. This is the about section. This is your current version. Update VTX, update the goggles. So this is pretty easy as well. So unlike before when you plugged in your VRX, it would auto update. It would just read the file and say, oh, I need to automatically update. For these, you need to go down to the about menu and select update goggle or update VTX. They are super fast, especially the VTX. It's in a second. It is insanely fast how fast they updates. The update goggle, the goggle updates, they're still a little bit long, but they're not as long as they used to be on the old VRXs. But that is it for the menu. Up top left corner, you have the storage space available left in your SD card, your current channel, SPF 32, not sure what that is, off, Wi-Fi off, and then you have your battery voltage up top. And if you hold down the middle button, it takes you to your, if you have a quad plugged in, which I don't, you can click the button to turn off or on your OSD. So I here have it off, but obviously the warnings are there. So my fans are not going. It is hot, so it's recommending the fans turn on. They should turn on. Your video link quality, 1, 2, 3, 4. So from left to right, it is your top left antenna, then the side left antenna, then it's your top right antenna, and then your bottom right antenna. Those are those link qualities. So yeah, that's going to do it, guys. So yeah, absolutely love this guy. I hope you enjoyed the video. A couple things else I wanted to talk about that I'm trying to remember now. I don't have my notes with me. They're on my phone, but I have no idea what my phone is. So some things that I mentioned, the goggle foam, I would like to have maybe an additional wedge that you can put in here and a little bit wider on the bridge of the nose. That way you don't have that peeling of the Velcro and the foam. Goggle strap is great. The power button, maybe a little bit more space there, but that's that. Another thing I would like to have seen is an audible recording noise. That's something that I kind of wish they had, and that's something that could possibly be fixed. But yeah, when you press the record button, this is the record button here on the right, it would be nice to have that beep, beep, or however many beeps. If you know Fat Shark or GoPro, you're really used to that recording. So you press the record button. Is it going to do it? Is it 3 buttons, starts recording, stop recording, 7 beeps, you know it stopped recording. So something like that, 1 beep starts recording, 2 beeps stops recording. Something like that would be really good. That way you don't have to keep an eye looking up into the top right corner. Oh, am I recording? Am I not recording? But yeah, that's another good thing I would like to see done. The fans are great. SMA connectors are great. SD card, absolutely superb. I love where that spot is at. Firmware cable, pretty good. Goggle strap, 10 out of 10, would recommend. I love the wheel. I love how easy the menu system is to navigate. Scroll, click, hold it to go back. For the DVR, same thing. Press play, stop, hold it to get out of the video, and then hold it again to get out of the playback menu. Don't know how good the audio is. We're going to do another separate video on that with the microphones. We're going to do a video range test. I'll probably take these with me to my in-laws for Christmas and do some video testing out there. I do have some tiny whip footage I can put up. But yeah, super excited for how these are. Can't wait to take these to races to get everyone looking at these. We'll also put on the analog models as well, see how that looks, compare that to how it looks. Holy crap, something just hit my window. I think it was a bird or it was a bat. Oh, that was a really, really big bug. Scary. But yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching if you made it for so far. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll talk to you guys later. Like, subscribe, share it. I'll see you at the field. Bye.